What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sixth Man Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Dunn. Quick breakdown of the pod. It's going to be interviews with people in the basketball community, whether it be current and former college players, professional players, coaches, stuff like that. Looking to build a community of people within the basketball world here on the show. Asking people, about their journeys, making connections, sharing stories, stuff like that. I think if you love basketball, you will really love this podcast, and I'm excited to start this journey. First episode here today, I have one of my brother's good friends and former teammates, Dillon Hod. He tells some great stories and talks about his journey in the basketball world. So let's shoot over to that interview with Dillon. All right, I'm here with Dillon Hod. Here to talk a little bit about his journey in the basketball world. Met Dillon through my brother. They were teammates for a year in college. Dillon, what's going on?
What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for coming on to be the first guest. I appreciate it.
No, of course. I'm excited about this podcast. Your brother, obviously, when you spoke, Jake said great things, and I know you've been doing good things as well. So it's gonna be good content for college athletes and the athletes.
Yeah, super excited. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in the basketball world. You grew up on Long Island, right?
Yup, Great Neck, New York. Good part of Long Island. It's look, obviously we're gonna get in the depth of my journey, but it's a lot of schools. It's still going on, and I think probably one of my biggest models right now is it's the process over the outcomes. So you just want to obviously keep on going and obviously enjoy the ride.
I love that. I was actually reading a quote the other day that said like the man who loves the journey more than the destination will go farther, or something along those lines. But kind of in line with what you said. Out on Long Island, excuse me. Did you play like public high school ball? Did you go like private school? Did you leave Long Island and do prep? What was like your high school background?
Yeah, no. So definitely unique. Probably first through eighth grade went to the normal district high school in Great Neck, local elementary school, local middle school, high school went to Catholic school for a year or two, and then that's when my path differed, and I ended up going to Putnam Science Academy. It was probably
Okay.
one of the best prep schools in the country, and going there, it was kind of like a rude awakening because I was surrounded by so many Division I athletes, and I played in a high school team. I was like, all right, I need to go a different route for my senior year. So for my senior year, for 10th and 11th, I went to Putnam. My senior year, I ended up going to Scotland campus. And it was probably, honestly, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Because I met so many people that I'm in touch with right now and relationships. And that led me to playing, like we're going to speak about later, JUCO basketball. And I don't regret going to prep scene. We ended up played so many competition. We played Montverde when they had Cade and all those guys.
Damn.
It was like it was honestly such great atmosphere because you're in a small town Pennsylvania with 50 kids, and all you have to do is really just focus on basketball and college coaches. And the bad thing about prep, really kind of like we can speak about and the kids don't really have to go through. When I went to go, usually kids go for the post grad year. The following year, my senior year was pretty solid. COVID hit, and then obviously I was in a predicament. But no, I think going it was definitely a different journey. But going prep was really the relationships you meet down there.
Yeah, like you said, like the relationships are so huge in basketball, especially when you're trying to find new places and working your way up. So being at different places, I'm sure you've met a ton of people that have helped you along the way. You said you played that Cade Montverde team. Is that you think that's the best team you've seen?
Man, that was I played college, played Division I JUCO. We have runs down here. That was the best team I'll ever see in my life. You have
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham, man, Scotty Barnes, I think Dayron Sharp. You had maybe 7 or 8 Division I guys, and we lost by maybe 100. And they they pressed the whole game, and that might be one of the greatest teams in high school history. And I think going that experience was probably that's like an experience I'll never forget.
They probably had 9, 10, 11 men that were Division I scholarship guys.
For
But
sure.
So coming out of your final prep year, you said you went Division I JUCO. I know you played at Clarendon down in Texas. When you were coming out of prep, was it always going to be JUCO? Were you thinking about going NCAA route, like straight out of prep, or how did you get to Clarendon? What was your journey
Yeah.
there?
So the reason why obviously I went JUCO was, I think kind of we just spoke about it before, was my prep route, going from my post grad year back to Scotland campus. That year in college didn't count. So I was saying, you know what? Let me go to a situation because at the prep scene, it wasn't as same as we spoke about. There wasn't really a lot of college coaches because it was a bubble, and it was Snowball coaches. I'm sure you can attest to that, man. It's just like there was seasons are canceled. I know your brother, like, I don't even think he really had a senior season, right? It's hard. Like,
Yeah, we were playing like scrimmages pretty much in the
yeah,
in a closed gym.
exactly. So I was under that predicament. Like, all right, let me find a scenario where I could play, get a good experience. And I had a couple of JUCOs reach out to me in the wintertime, rather for their second half of their stretch of the season. And I was like, you know what, Clarendon is a great scenario, and it's 7 D1 transfers. And going down there was tough. I think that's when I got my first opinion of, like, because you're like a kid, and I'm sure you can see it. A lot of kids are, I'm going to play D1 basketball. I'm going to play D1 basketball. That's when I got down there, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not a Division I basketball player, and that's okay. And that experience was so great for me because I was in literally the middle of nowhere, Texas. We were just playing against other Division I JUCO guys who everyone wants to get out of there to go Division I,
Yeah.
and it literally was just a dog eat dog type environment, and it was so like I was miserable the first month or two, and luckily at the end of the year I ended up getting some playing time and fighting through it. But it was definitely an experience where I learned a lot from. But I would have, to be honest, I wouldn't have gone the JUCO route if the year didn't count. The year counted. I don't know if I would have went.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, kind of what you said about the JUCO stuff is what I hear a lot of like, guys are trying to get out of there and trying to work their way up somewhere else. Trying to go Division I, Division II scholarship level. So I'm sure it was like super intense, super competitive every day. Um, and like you said, the kind of rude awakening where you kind of realize that you weren't going to be a Division I player. Like these Division I guys, like you said, a lot of young high school guys coming up when they're not surrounded by them every day, they don't realize what the level of Division I actually is, which I'm sure you can attest to. Do you have
Sure.
any opinion on the new JUCO rules, with JUCO not counting towards eligibility? Like if that was in place when you were at Clarendon, you think you would have, because you only did 1 year there, right?
Yes.
You think if it didn't count towards eligibility, you think you would have did another year? Would you there or
Yeah.
somewhere else?
No, I think maybe I would have done another route. Maybe I would have stayed back in Clarendon. Right now, the JUCO rule, it kind of like it's smart because I would
Yeah,
recommend players to go to JUCO route because look, obviously another reason why a lot of these, like I said, there were 7 D1 transfers that go JUCO. A lot of them go JUCO because of grades. That's the biggest thing, and a lot of them go just because like you're not college ready. Kind of like you just said before, a lot of high school kids are not surrounded by that talent and that size and stuff. And if it's not counting towards your eligibility and you can build your grades up, build your GPA, and foster a college environment, it does benefit athletes. So I'm very pro for JUCO, but it needs to be the right type of JUCO for the kid, because if I would have done it again, you want to make sure you go to a JUCO where it's a good environment for the kid, where he's going to play. It's a good environment for him to boost his GPA, rather than don't chase the level, chase fit.
that's a very good way to put it. I like that a lot. So after a year at Clarendon, came back home to New York, played at CMSV, which is now UMSV, Mount St.
Mhm.
Vincent in the Bronx. Talk a little bit about your experience at Mount St. Vincent and what your journey was there.
Yeah, no, obviously we wouldn't be speaking right now if I didn't go to Mount St. Vincent.
Yeah, true.
So met so many great relationships and stuff. And so, but yeah, going down there, I was honestly after JUCO, I was trying to go to D2 route. I had a couple of D2 offers, and it just wasn't. Like I kind of like spoke before. I didn't want to go to a situation where I was not going to play. I was, and Mount St. Vincent really kind of intrigued me because it was in New York. It was a good scenario, and it was very competitive. And I also knew we were going to be in the conference with the best team in D3, and that was Yeshiva. They were on a 50-game winning streak. They had the best
Yep.
D3 basketball player in the country. They were like the talk of New York for D3, and not even D3. They were the talk of the nation. And going to Mount St. Vincent, like going there for 2 years, man, I met a lot of great people. Obviously, met your brother who was great. Met Dan. Met so many great people, and we ended up as a 7 seed getting a playoff win. And I think my best part of Mount St. Vincent is I went through so much over there and so many bad moments, but we played in 3 playoff games in 2 years. Won one as a 7 seed versus a 2 seed on the road. And my 3 best games at Mount St. Vincent were all in the playoffs. I had 16, I had 17, I had 16 again. And I think that's when I realized, all right, because I didn't really know what D3 basketball was like. And going down there, I was like, you know what, D3 basketball is pretty good. And we ended up losing Yeshiva, like we spoke about. But no, it was a really good experience going down there and learning a lot. And playing in front of my family was probably the best part.
Yeah, it's awesome coming back home. I would have like. Did they ever get down to Texas to see you at Clarendon at all?
No, not really at all. It was more it was like a 6 month stint, so it was like
Yeah.
online to be
Uh,
honest.
Yeah, so it was probably great to play in front of them and back home. Um, you mentioned yeshiva. You mentioned your family. You had a couple family members that played at yeshiva, right?
Yeah, no, that's made the decision really like difficult. It's pretty crazy. My dad was top 5 in all-time leading scorer down there. My uncle was maybe his top 10. I had cousins who played there. So that was really the reason why I wanted to go to Mount St. Vincent rather than Yeshiva is I really wanted to start my own legacy rather than following my family's footsteps and their legacy. Yeshiva was a great university. It's probably honestly they were favorites to win. They probably maybe in the past 4 years, I think maybe they won the conference 2 or 3 times, 5 out of the last 7. They're a powerhouse. And going to Mount St. Vincent, I wanted to do it the hard way because nobody believes in Mount St. Vincent. Nobody believes they can make any noise. Like I told you, we had that one playoff win. That was the only playoff win they've had in the past 7 years. And it was, and it's really the people that make it. So that going to Yeshiva was pretty tough, but it was honestly, I don't regret it at all because it was such a good environment, Mount St. Vincent, competing against them and obviously making relationships.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you grow up like going to yeshiva games and stuff as a kid? Like, did your dad, your uncle, they put the ball in your hands at a young age? I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I went to a couple when I was younger because my dad's a very big alumni down there.
Yeah.
So going down there was good. And kind of like in prep school, like before I kind of heard about Yeshiva because the streak started building and then you kind of heard of the
Yep.
Ryan Terrell and that's what made like me think of Yeshiva differently because I was like, okay, they're kind of getting the best Jewish basketball players to go play D3 rather than trying to chase another level.
We talked about COVID before. That's another team that I'm sure if the COVID thing didn't happen, they probably would have won a D3 national championship because that was kind of right in the middle of their run where they were on the 50, 60 game win streak, whatever it was, with multiple Division One level guys playing in the skyline. So after Mount St. Vincent, you transferred to St. Joe's out in Long Island. How was the whole transfer process there, especially transferring within the same conference? Was there any hold up there? Any other options you were thinking of? Was it awkward at all for you when you decided to transfer within conference?
Yeah, no, it was. Look, I think the reason why I left Mount St. Vincent is I was trying to find something more. I was trying to challenge myself the final 2 years, and I was going back and forth from other schools. I ended up having like another D2 reach out in Ohio, and see, I wasn't predicting like this is now going to be my third school in maybe 3 years. So and yeah, and St. Joe's was a good scenario from what I thought. And transferring there, it was weird. Going in the conference, it was in Long Island, trying to find a role and stuff. And going down there, it was I had to get my own apartment. It was a commuter school, and going down there it was a little tricky because obviously it was just not what I panned out. I think the coach was a very serious coach. He was very good, but it was a situation where I think where you got to find out for kids that even like are watching this and you're trying to find good situation for you. You want to make sure that you're a good situation for that program, and it makes sense. You want to be honest. Like, um, for me, I think I'm very honest about like, hey, if I deserve to play, or I don't deserve to play, and I went to a really defensive program, and unfortunately, I was there for maybe 3 months. And I think that point, I was struggling so bad with basketball. That was probably my lowest point of basketball because I was playing in a conference where I played the past 2 years. I was doing well. And then to not be going back and forth with minutes and we were losing, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm like at rock bottom. And that's when it was like, all right, I, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's tough, especially, when you're really going somewhere for basketball and the basketball thing isn't working out. I imagine it was tough. Um, so then again, from St. Joe's, Long Island, you ended up at St. Vincent, not Mount St. Vincent, different school. St. Vincent's
Yep.
in what, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, no. So, that's when obviously I went to St. Vincent. I know if you're probably listening to like a lot of different schools, but that's honestly like this isn't really. I'm not like where we're going to be speaking about. I went through so much adversity that there was some success, and that's probably what I'm most proud about. So going out of St. Joe's, look, I averaged maybe 2 or 3 a game. At Mount St. Vincent, I was coming off averaging man close to 10 a game. Have really good numbers and going to I was this is mid-season. Look, I'm averaging 2 or 3 a game. I'm in the portal mid-season. I thought I'm not getting nothing. I was like, you know what, maybe I'm just not good enough. I didn't know you could transfer right away and play right away. Once I found that out, I was like, okay. I reach out. Somebody reaches out to me. I reach out to one of my former coaches at prep school. I was like, hey, like these schools. He's like, yeah, I know a D3 school in Pennsylvania. So I speak to the D3 school in Pennsylvania, the head coach. I go down there and a visit in the 2 days. He kind of gives you the rundown. Meanwhile, this is when they're like 14-0. They're probably one of the
Oh, damn.
four. They're one of the maybe. They're one of the top three. They're like only three undefeated schools in D3. He tells me the rundown. He's like, listen, we have six. We have 7 players who play. We're a 7-man rotation. We need one more guy to add depth to our roster. I was like, at that scenario, I was like, listen, I have another half scenario. Um, I was like, I got to go down there. So I transferred down there to St. Vincent in January. This is back in Pennsylvania. Um, I got cleared. They're 14-0, and I'm like, okay, when am I going to play? They keep winning and winning. They got this 18-0. I still haven't played. And I'm like, dang, like I'm all the way down here. It's exciting. The crowd, man, I played D3 in New York. Yeshiva, maybe that was a great crowd. The best D3 crowd I've ever played in my life, Pennsylvania, because it's such a small town that you can probably attest to it. Kind of like small high schools where
Yeah.
just everyone in the town's going to that game, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
So I'm down there. I'm not playing. The coach was like, hey, like, man, the coach kind of straight up to me. He was a great coach. He was like, hey, like, I kind of thought you were better than where you were. I was like, okay. It's like very, very realistic. He kind of told me that when we're 18-0, he's like, I kind of thought you were better than where you were. Like, you're not going to play the rest of the year. So, okay. I was pretty pissed. Um, we ended up going like 20-2. Um, we're 20-2. We have like 7 games left. We're playing the 1 seed. They are 20 on. They're like 21-1 on the road. There's like 10 minutes remaining in the second half. I still haven't played at all. I remember I'm on the bench. My shoes are untied. So I'm like, yo, I haven't played. I haven't played. I'm talking to a couple guys. I haven't played all year. I can tell you the last time I played, maybe in December. Like I haven't played in 2 months. he's like, I remember he says, Dillon, go in. I was like shocked. On the road, shocked. I go in. He's like, I remember he subs one of the guys out, and he's like, hey, go get some water, and then go take him out within 1 minute. I remember I heard that, and I was like, okay, I have 1 minute to play my ass off. I remember I got in that like 1 minute. I hit a quick three. Next possession, had a quick spin move layup. And I was like, man, wow, I'm feeling it. Anyways, we're down by like 14, 15. We ended up losing the game by like 1 or 2. I ended up having 11 points, and I go like 4 for 5 from the field in 10 minutes. And after that, he says after the game, it's like, hey, I'm gonna play you the rest of the year. And I was like, great. Ended up I playing the rest of the year, the last 7 games, I think the last 8 or 9 games. I was part of the rotation, playing 10, 15 minutes a game. We ended up losing in the championship, like unfortunately. But that was probably one of my best moments in my college career because I was literally not playing at all, and I was at rock bottom. I was so frustrated, but I got my opportunity, and that's all I want. That's all like players should deserve, but you got to be ready for it because if you're not ready for it, you're done. You're at the end of the bench. So it was going to St. Vincent was probably one of my best decisions, being on such a high level team and playing on a team that won 25 games. It was pretty special.
Dude, that's an awesome story. I love that. You talked about, you hit a low point in basketball. You weren't playing at all. You transferred to a new school. You're not playing. And then you talk about being ready for your opportunity. So during this whole time, are you like, you're still working out 100%? You're still super locked into team stuff? Like, it's kind of like the old saying, like, stay ready so you don't got to get ready. Like, was there ever any point where you were like, I don't know if I could do this? Like, were you ever on the verge of quitting? Were you ever mailing it in at practice, not doing like individual workouts and stuff like that? Or were you constantly locked in for when that opportunity came?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I think you can. That's why I think I can kind of see it on both sides, which is great. I played college basketball where I played 40 minutes a game, a couple games, and there was a couple games I got DNPs. It's like that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's just the nature of the sport, and yeah, it was definitely a point where like rather I could have just really gave up. I could have really just been like, all right, I'm not going to go at 6 a.m. I'm just gonna, you know what? After practice, I'm not going to go in the gun because you're in season and when you're not really playing, you don't really do that much in practice. Really scout film, or preparation. I'm on scout team. You just prep. You have school after days after games. Not really practice. And I remember like I was just like obviously I was just and I'm down there in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. You don't really have a lot of friends down there because I just got there a month ago, and I remember I was just like going through it, and I like just play from workouts and stuff. Like I was working out, but the biggest thing and I always say too, I want to work. I love working out. To have something to look forward to. Like I want to have something to look forward to, a game or like an off season, and it's so frustrating. Probably the biggest frustration is when you have like family and stuff watch the games and you're not playing, or like when you want to make an impact. And what you really have to do is just like really just dedicate to the game and just do what you can, control what you can control. That's really the biggest thing. And at that moment, I was just literally just trying to get a percent better every day, um, getting deposits, and I think everything happens for a reason, and maybe I was rewarded, and I end up getting an opportunity rather than because sometimes it's not fair. Like sometimes, um, you just gotta be a good teammate, a good leader, and it'll reward you.
I like what you said about, always having something to look forward to because I feel like with a lot of guys, it's like the chase of it that's really, fueling people and keeping them going in basketball and then really in everything. Do you have any eligibility left?
Yeah. So, now, look, obviously after St. Vincent, I went back there for my senior year, and obviously I played in 1 game, and obviously no, I played in 2. I'm sorry, and the second game after that, my ankle started killing me. We went into a practice. 2 days later, and I rolled it bad. It was and I knew I was gonna sit out for another month, and this was like this Thanksgiving. I sat out for another month for 5, 6 games. Um, Going back to January, I was like, hey, like I had a conversation with my coach, and we both had a discussion. Listen, it would make sense if I could play the last 8 or 9 games, or I can do what I'm doing now, is get an opportunity to save my last year for my master's, graduate, and get fully healthy because it was I re-aggravated my ankle, and I know I wasn't going to be 100%. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I do have another year, and I just graduated, so I'm going to use my last year for my master's.
Awesome. Any anything on the table yet that you want to talk about with where you're going to use your last year, or still figuring it out?
Yeah, so right now I'm just kind of in a crossroads. I'm trying to see if I want to walk on at Hofstra here. I love it down here. I love the relationships I met. It's such a great environment. Or I applied to some high level D3s. But really, I'm looking at it differently. I just want to go to a situation where it'll look good at my master's academically, and it's a serious situation because I think I already been through D3. I've been through the ups and downs. I've been through the whole experience, and right now I'm just looking for a scenario where it's going to benefit me in the long run after basketball, if that makes sense.
So you mentioned after basketball, after this next year, after you're done playing, do you have any aspirations with coaching, training, anything like that? Like, do you want to remain in the basketball realm after your days of playing are over?
Yeah, no, I think definitely I do want to get it. I want to coach on the side. I think what I love, like I love coaching. I just coached the girls camp last week. I'm gonna go coach the girls camp next week. Obviously, I love coaching. I love working with high level guys at Hofstra. Um, I just right now I have a business degree, so for me, it's just very with coaching. It's great doing it for passion, but it's very tough. It's a very like dog eat dog environment where you gotta a lot of people coaching like it's very tough to make money. So for me, I'm looking for a route where I can do something in the business side and I can coach high school on the side, so I can coach with passion, stay around the game, still affect others while I don't have to really put too much pressure on it to make money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from there. Like, the coaching stuff can be tough, especially like the older you're getting, more responsibilities you have as you get into like your mid late 20s, early 30s. Because it's like if you're going to get into the coaching stuff, you're probably going to start as an assistant or a GA somewhere, and then it's so, like we were talking about earlier, like it's so connections based. It's all about who you
For
know,
sure.
who could help you get to the next place, the next stop. And then your team's losing. It's not, you don't have a huge role on the coaching staff. Head coach gets fired, next thing you know, you're done, you got to move, go somewhere else. So I understand the grind of it. But high school hoops is great. High school hoops is great for sure. It definitely has its benefits. I love coaching high school hoops. um you have any aspirations with like training? Would you do like individual training for like high school guys, college guys, pros, stuff like that? I know you've been putting together runs and stuff, like you said, at Hofstra. I know that you and Jake went down to Miami. He said he got into a run with you or whatever down there with some high level NBA guys, former NBA guys, stuff like that. So where do you see yourself going with that?
Yeah, no, like to speak on Jake. Look, we were down there. We went down there in Miami for a week. We were part of runs, man. There was Bones Highland, Hassan Whiteside,
Yeah.
Amani Bates, Colin Sexton, Emmanuel Quickly. Those are like, there's probably more, man. PJ Donaldson, man, a couple other ones. And Nikola Vucevic too. It was an incredible environment, and there was such good for me and Jake because we're so passionate about the game and being around that environment. So, but yeah, right now at Hofstra, we kind of have a good scenario. What I do here, which I kind of have respect here, is they right now they're in season. I bring a lot of pros down here, not just for pro runs, which is great. I have the pros working with the Division 1 guys, and we've had some great pros come down here. My buddy from Tennessee was down here, from UConn. We had obviously Emmanuel Hansel was down here. We and I think Hassan Whiteside said he wants to come down next week. Tyler Kolek, I was just texting with him from the Knicks. We have a lot of guys who are going to come down after Vegas, and it's such a good environment that we're trying to do is that I want it to be a hot spot in New York for pros when they come down to visit their families in New York, and they can obviously the Hofstra guys can benefit from it, and the pros guys can be in serious runs. And how that relates to me, like I think, like you just kind of spoke about, it's a connection based. It's really,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it just try to make profit or I don't want it to be the best runs in America. I'm just trying to do it for make good connections, make good relationships, and we kind of learned that while being down there in Miami, where like we have like for an example, we have a couple pros. One of our best pros, he plays in Mexico now. He's going to help a couple of the Hofstra guys after because when they're done with college and they want to go the pro route, and that's what it's about, just doing it the right way. And when you have high level talent like that, it's pretty cool. So no, it's a really good environment, and hopefully it keeps on growing.
That's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do with this podcast. Just connect, grow connections, grow the game, talk to people about hoops that love hoops. The game's always growing, always evolving. So to be part of it is best thing in the world. Last question I got for you here, Dillon. If you could go back and give advice to your younger self in terms of basketball, is there any advice you'd give to yourself, say, when you're in your prep year and you're deciding what you want to do for college, or when you're in 8th grade and you're deciding what you want to do in high school? Just your younger self in general. Any advice you'd give to yourself as a basketball player?
No, yeah, that's a good question. I think definitely I would prioritize working on my weaknesses. I think so many people or like so many guys are so comfortable. And I think a good thing I did that was like I didn't really get Instagram till I was like in college. It was crazy. And so many guys are just trying to like, all right, 5 a.m. They put that story of them shirtless in the gym at LA Fitness.
Clock
It's
in.
like
Yep.
clock in or like a clock out 20 minutes later. It's
Yep.
a lot of guys are just trying to just chase I think a lot of people are just trying to chase what other people's perspective of them, and you don't really have to. You just want to do it the right way. And for my younger version, I think maybe obviously I would just probably focus more on my weaknesses. I would maybe try to be in an environment where, like, take it seriously. Don't really go when big thing I do in the weight room now. Don't really go in the weight room and okay, all right, I don't know what to do, or like be about it. Be very serious. Have a plan. Be constructive with the coach. Cross training. I think that's a benefit that I love now. Is I love to play tennis, so I play so much tennis down on the side, which helps me. Cross training, swimming, biking, and look, like kind of just listening to podcasts. And I'm not even lying. Like you kind of say you're smoking a podcast. I just this morning I was listening to Mind the Game by LeBron and Steve Nash. You want to just be a learner of the game, and I think if you learn and that's something that I wish I would have done a little bit learn, and that's what I got older from. So definitely try to be more mature. And if I would have like overall to answer my question, just being able trying to try different things so I can be more successful. Well, look, it's all a part of the journey, and
Yeah.
I'm happy. It's still going, and but it was overall good.
All right, Dillon. Thanks so much for your time, man. I love talking your journey and talking hoops with you. You ever want to come back on again, let me know, or anything I could do for you in terms of basketball, let me know. But thanks so much for hopping on. I appreciate it.
No, man, I appreciate you letting me speak to you and you letting me be one of the first guests. I think this is going to be a really good podcast because you're going to have so many different perspectives. And that's what it's about. Everyone has their own unique journey of basketball, kind of have you have your own unique journey of basketball as well. And it's just you want to take it's in bits about it and you're promoting a good environment where people can showcase their journey and how it affects others. So I'm excited to keep watching and keep listening as well.
Appreciate you, man. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with another one. In the meantime, if you could please rate, like, subscribe on whatever platform you use to listen to this show, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so on and so forth. as well as following us on Instagram at the Sixth Man Podcast. That'd be great. Looking to grow it, looking to keep building on it. We'll see you next week. Thanks.